Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Mackenzie, who is going to be coming to RTS as part of a premiere event. More information on that event to follow, but visually we have had Mackenzies in the game before, one of the more powerful characters in times past. This is the first Mackenzie in the Mythic era. And this time around, she is going to be a tough character again. I think she has had multiple tough characters in the past. She is still wearing that like equestrian outfit. She's got her helmet on her backpack, as you can see on the right hand side. She's got a very long rifle here as well. And on the left hand side, you can see she is on the horse. She's got the horse. I am very sad that she's not riding the horse in the game. That would have been cool, but we did see the same sort of thing with William, I think, as his first edition version. That would be honestly amazing. Maybe we get a horse character come out. Who knows? Who knows? If we look at the stats of this character, at level 1,440, limit break 3, she has got 13,242 attack, 32,665 defense, and 42,377 HP. She is going to be a tough character. Obviously, she's going to be of the medic role, which is pretty much what Mackenzie has been in the past. Gold Mythic, of course. And she's going to be part of the Day 1 Allegiance. Now first up, we're going to be looking at Mackenzie's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Skilled Hunter. It has got a recharge rate of 66 AP. An enemy gets minus 90% attack for 2 turns. This fighter gets 75% halo for the rest of combat. Heal one other fighter for 75% of their max HP for the rest of combat. So obviously 3 parts. The 90% attack down is brutal. It is only going to last for 2 turns, so it's not going to be too crazy, but depending on who that lands on, if it's any of your damage dealers, they're not doing damage anymore. It's pretty much as simple as that. That 1,000% rush goes down to 100%. 90% reduction. Absolutely nasty. The next part is going to be a self-halo. We see this quite a lot, but this is going to be for the rest of combat. So this just means that it isn't going to wear out. If you do ignore this character for 2 turns, or you manage to impair her after this, she doesn't have to reapply it. She's still got it. It can be stolen away, just like any other Halo, but it would obviously just sit there otherwise until you steal it away. So you have to steal it away to actually get this not to proc, or decap the character with a forced decap. This last part is, again, quite interesting. We've seen healers before where it will heal a character for 75% of max HP, but this is doing it every turn for the rest of combat. That is, like I say, kind of nuts. She is at the medic role too, so any healing she does up to 75%, she'll heal 20% of that as bonus HP as well. So she could be potentially doing a 15% bonus HP heal on someone who she fully heals with 75% HP. But if she only does 10% of someone's HP heal, she would just be giving them 2% bonus HP, because that bonus HP is of healing done. But it is just a little bit extra on top, and it happens every turn. If she does this Adrenaline Rush more than once, generally speaking, that heal should go to a second character, should she have multiple characters with this on them, because heals generally go to people with the lowest HP. It could potentially go to the same character twice, but I think it would be quite unlikely. But yeah, that's where it could get kind of crazy though. 150% for the rest of combat. Again, this could get stolen away, but otherwise you're getting a character just non-stop healing. Now, Mackenzie is not an attack team character, but I can show you how she works on an attack team a bit easier. If we just get her Adrenaline Rush up, we have got Lucky Wayland to command her. I can select any character who's going to get that 90% attack reduction. So it would be Molly in this case. She's going to get 90% attack down. And then my character, Mackenzie, is going to get a 75% halo for the rest of combat, as you can see. And then someone on my team has a 75% heal for the rest of combat. Who is it? It is going to be Wayland up the top. So that's how it's going to work on a defense team. On an attack team, I just can easily select who it's going to land on. That's the only difference. Whereas a defense team, it's going to be completely random. But generally speaking, your attack team characters are going to have some level of offensive capability, and 90% attack down is going to be brutal if it lands on the wrong character. Now, looking at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 3 it gets an upgrade where Halo duration increased to the rest of combat. So initially it's just going to be a Halo for potentially, I would say probably 2 turns, but that's only going to be 1 copy to get to go for the rest of combat. Then at grade 5, the heal duration will be increased to the rest of combat too. That could just be a 75% heal or a 75% heal for 2 turns. But after 2 copies, it will be for the rest of combat. And then at Limit Break 2, it gets an additional minus 40% attack. So initially it is minus 50% attack for 2 turns, and it goes to minus 90% attack for 2 turns. So the upgrades on this Adrenaline Rush are nice, but the Adrenaline Rush off bat is actually still pretty decent. The rest of combat on the heal and Halo obviously is just a nice bonus. So that just means it's going to obviously last for longer. And the attack down going to 90% is, like I say, brutal. If that lands on any key damage dealer, they're not dealing any damage anymore, generally speaking. That is the big problem. I think this Adrenaline Rush is okay. I think it's not blowing me away, but it is a defense team character. Adrenaline Rushes on defense team characters don't usually, do something too crazy, because most of the craziness is going to be in the signature move and the passives, because those are things that can guaranteed happen and happen earlier on in the fight. It's pretty much as simple as that. Whereas Adrenaline Rush, it takes a little bit longer to get going, and if there's too much power there and there's not enough power in the signature move and stuff, then you can see a character not even being able to get off their Adrenaline Rush sometimes. So this is nice if it does go off, but I'm guessing there's going to be bigger power in the signature move and the passives, like I say. Probably the biggest parts of this are going to be the attack down and the Halo. The heal I just kind of see as a nice little bonus. Now, moving on to the signature move, this is the thing that's going to happen a bit earlier on in the fight. It is called Toughest Burn. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1 and a cooldown of 1 turn. Number of uses unlimited. This fighter gets 50% defense for each tough teammate and heals for 50% of their max HP for the rest of combat. Deal 15% of this fighter's max HP as burn damage to a line of enemies for the rest of combat. So the first part, obviously, if Mackenzie's the only tough character in the team, she will get a 50% defense buff. But for every other character that gets added, it will be 50% extra. So if it's 3 tough characters, including Mackenzie, it should be 150% defense. And the heal will come in. Both of those will last for the rest of combat, but she can reapply this every other turn. So theoretically, that heal should stack with itself. So the second time she does her signature move, it should go up to 100% for the rest of combat. However, the defense buff will not stack. It will just reapply it. So if someone has stolen it away, it will reapply it. Otherwise, it will just sit there at the same sort of number. Now, the burn for the rest of combat to a line of enemies is a little bit problematic. Her HP is one of her highest stats. You could probably get her HP up pretty high. I'd say you're probably able to get up to about 100 to 120,000. So you're looking at 15 to 20k burn for the rest of combat. And this is basically to try and bypass anyone who tries to use damage over time reduction against Mackenzie. Because sure, you've got damage over time reduction, but you've still got burn. And I'll reapply this burn to someone else on the next turns, and that'll be half your team potentially burning. And the second that damage over time reduction disappears, they will just be all gone in probably a turn or 2. Because 15 to 20k burn bypasses bonus HP, bypasses any bonus defense, anything like that. Not that attack teams generally have that, but it is going to be a very big problem for sure. Now, I did say Mackenzie was not an attack team character, but if you came up with the right idea for a team, who knows? There is potential that this could work to a certain extent on an attack team. Now, I will test this out to see how the heals are going to work. I'll just do Mackenzie's signature move and nothing else. So we'll defend with the other characters, and then we'll do the signature move. We'll do burn to a line of enemies. She will get a defense buff. This is just going to be 50% plus 50% of Clementine, so it should be 100% defense. But the heal will come in as well. There's the 50% heal. There's the 100% defense because of 2 tough characters. And then we have got burn on 2 of the enemies. What we're going to do is we're going to just hit the defend action on everybody again. And then the next turn, she can do her signature move again. And this time, I'm going to do it against a different line of enemies. It doesn't actually matter in this case. I just want to see that heal over time she has. Does it go from 50% every turn up to 100% every turn? I think it will. We'll see though. Yes, it does. So now she's healing for 100% every turn. So every time she does her signature move, she adds 50% every turn. Obviously, you can't heal more than 99.9% of your HP. Otherwise, you've already been taken out. But getting up to 100% just means that she's always going to heal to max HP every time. Now, potentially, someone could have heal reduction. So if she does this 2 or 3, 4 times, and she has a 50% heal reduction, but she has a 200% heal, she'll still be healing for 100% every turn. So that's something to note as well. Now, as you saw in that team there, I did use the defense team Clementine as the leader. Now, with her base weapon and no mod, she hit 98,000 HP. So having high amounts of HP doesn't look like it's going to be too hard a thing for Mackenzie. Just something to note there. Now, if we look at the upgrades on this signature move, you can see at grade 2, it gets an upgrade where it deals 15% of the fighter's max HP as burn damage to a line of enemies for 3 turns. At grade 4, it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so the turn 1 starting cooldown comes in at only 1 copy. Then at limit break 1, it gets plus 25% defense, so it goes from a 25% defense buff up to a 50% defense buff, and that will last until the end of combat, as will the heal, because the last buff is going to be an upgrade where the burn duration is increased to the rest of combat. Now, I'd say the burn duration being increased to the rest of combat is quite nice, but the main ones being to the rest of combat is going to be the first 2 buffs, which is actually going to be very nice indeed. I really do like seeing the -1 to starting cooldown being quite early. This character being a premium fighter, this character being a premium event fighter would generally mean that if there is any accessibility at all to free-to-play to get maybe 1 or 2 copies, the fighter still could potentially be half decent, and generally speaking would just be worth upgrading past that to get better stats and more powerful actual buffs and so on and so forth. Now, the passives are what are going to have to bring this entire kit together, because she has not got a specialist skill. She's going to be relying heavily on these passives and obviously the weapon to really tie things up. These are going to be the mythic abilities of Mackenzie. She has got spirit because she's a medic. That's the 20% of all healing performed by this fighter. Also granting bonus HP like I was talking about on that adrenaline rush, like I was also talking about on that signature move. The next one is called Powerful Safety. At the start of each turn, this fighter gets 15% AP for each teammate with the Halo status effect. This is actually pretty crazy. If she was in a team, let's say Circuit, everybody has the Halo status effect. So she would be getting 75% of her max AP at the beginning of every turn. That means after doing her signature move, she would have a turn 2 natural rush. Some people might have looked at that and thought 66 AP was quite high, but this is going to make it so that it's not as much of a problem. Once she gets that adrenaline rush off, she's going to have Halo for the rest of combat, which means she's always going to have 15% AP each turn, because she is a character who has Halo. It's pretty much as simple as that. The next one is called Defensive Charge. At the start of each wave and on the defense team, all fast and tough teammates get 30% AP. This is very powerful. I will say that I think her leader skill is tough and fast characters, which we haven't seen, I don't believe, in the Mythic era. We've seen a lot of Rainbow leads, so this is more specific to tough and fast. I could be wrong if someone wants to correct me, but this is big. At the start of the fight, 30% AP plus 35 AP could be enough to get characters very close to getting their adrenaline rush off of turn 2 naturally after doing their signature move turn 1. And lastly, we have Negating Defense. Incoming fast trait damage against this fighter's team has its multiplier reduced by 60%. This means that every character on this team, not just tough characters, every character on the team with Mackenzie will effectively have a 60% defense versus fast inbuilt to their kit. Plus, you could obviously double down and go for defense versus fast on the tough characters mods as well, massively reducing fast incoming damage. That obviously is a little bit of a problem when it comes to doing more damage against tough characters. Mackenzie is tough. It looks like she's going to have some synergy with other tough characters based on the fact that she gets bigger buffs with tough characters based on some of the buffs that she's doing in her passives, helping out tough characters and fast characters. And we'll look at her leader skill where I think it is going to be tough characters as well. But first, we'll just test out these passives just to see how they work when she's in a full team. So as I start the fight, you can see a lot of the enemies have just gained AP. I'm going to defend on everybody on my attack team. And we want to see how much AP everybody has after this signature that they're about to do. I think they're going to be basically at 95+%. As you can see, everybody's just off of being able to do their adrenaline rush, except Mackenzie herself, because now it has kicked in with the halos giving her an AP boost. So you would require one of those defensive 8% weapons, which have actually been occurring, to be able to get a second turn natural rush. Because when I defend now, we get to this next turn, they would all be rushing on turn 2, but in this case they'd be doing basic attacks instead, which is generally not what you want to do, or be doing signatures if they've got a very good cooldown. However, Mackenzie will be popping off every single turn as she does. But when we come to the upgrades on the passives, you can see at grade 1 we get the first half of powerful safety. At the start of each turn, this fighter gets 5% AP for each teammate with the halo status effect. At grade 2, she gets the first half of spirit, where she gets 10% of all healing performed by this fighter, also granted as bonus HP. At grade 3, she gets the second half of powerful safety. At the start of each turn, this fighter gets 10% AP for each teammate with the halo status. Then we move on to grade 4. We'll have the first half of defensive charge. At the start of each wave, when on the defense team, all fast and tough teammates get 10% AP. And then at grade 5, we have the first half of negating defense. Incoming fast trait damage against this fighter's team has its multiplier reduced by 20%. Moving on to the limit break upgrades, you can see at limit break 1, we get the second half of spirit, making it another 10% of all healing performed by this fighter, also granted as bonus HP, making it 20% total. At limit break 2, we get the second half of defensive charge. At the start of each wave, when on the defense team, all fast and tough teammates get a further 20% AP gain, making it 30% total. And at limit break 3, she gets the second half of negating defense. Incoming fast trait damage against this fighter's team is having its multiplier reduced by a further 40%, making it 60% total. That defense reduction, I couldn't really show it really, but you'll be able to see how much damage reduction is going to happen when you attack Mackenzie with any fast characters. And the interesting part, of course, is the fact that it's the entire team that she's buffing, and it's endless. It doesn't run out. It isn't for like the first 4 turns or something like that. It's going to happen even when Mackenzie gets taken out, because we have seen this in the past when it comes to certain characters where it still applies when characters are taken out. Same sort of situation is going to occur here. Always going to have a massive fast damage reduction against that team. So you can decide, hey, the meta damage right now is fast and alert. I'll use Mackenzie to do fast, and I'll have my team fully, modded for alert. But definitely very interesting. I like the fact that she's buffing her entire team with that. That is a big boost. She's got a lot of support-based stuff here. More AP gain manipulation. We have seen it with Wayland, and now we're seeing more with Mackenzie. The AP gain, the way it works here, kind of reminds me to a certain extent a little bit like William back in the day, if everyone remembers. William did give AP when he was on a defense team. His stats have kind of fallen off, so he's very hard to use on defense. But Mackenzie, not so much. Her stats are very, very nice indeed. So yeah, very nice passives. Have brought her kit together quite nicely. And I do like that team-wide defense for sure. Now, Mackenzie is a defense leader, and this is where a lot of Halo's going to come in. So we will test it out again with this as the leader skill. All teammates get 50% Halo for 2 turns. All tough and fast teammates get 50% HP. All other teammates get 40% HP instead. So she is still a bit of a rainbow leader, because all teammates are getting that Halo, plus all teammates are getting a HP boost. But if they're tough or fast, they will get a little bit more of a HP boost than other teammates, i.e. if they're strong and alert. but she does get better bonuses if you're using tough and fast characters based on the fact that she gives AP to these characters, plus she gets defense boost if there's tough characters. So generally speaking, using tough and fast would be the way to go. It's kind of like a Davy leader. I think Davy does quite similar, where he does give everyone buffs, but it's much better if it's fast and alert. So generally you want to stack as much stats as possible if you can help it. The same can be said for someone like a Clementine leader. She does everybody, but if they're Telltale, they get a much bigger boost. But this is Mackenzie as a defense lead. Let's check out how that Halo works in terms of her AP game. Okay, now we're going to attack again, and this time we have got Mackenzie as the leader instead of being a side character. Everybody on its defense team has now got 50% Halo for 2 turns. It wouldn't matter what trait the character was, they'll always get the Halo. If they were strong and alert, they would only get a 40% HP buff instead of 50%, which is still pretty good, but they would not get the AP gain from Mackenzie's passive. This is just one thing to note. They'll be sitting on 0 AP or any AP gain based on weapon and their own passives or anyone else's kit in the actual team. When it comes to Mackenzie, it just wouldn't work on those traded characters. All these characters obviously have the trait damage reduction versus fast, and again, that doesn't matter what trait the character would be. Now, I do believe the AP gain is working on the Halo. I didn't really test it properly on the last one because everything happened so quickly on their first turn, but this time around it's going to be easier to see because we have got 5 characters with Halo. It all depends on whether Mackenzie rushes right now, because she's got 30% AP based on being a tough character. Will she get 75% AP based on 5 characters having Halo, which is 15 times 5? If she rushes straight away, it is working how I would assume it would work. But if she does her signature move, then I don't think it's working properly. Let's see. And she rushes turn 1 naturally, so she's going to get her rush off straight away. This will apply a 75% Halo for the rest of combat, giving her AP gain every turn regardless, as long as she's got that Halo buff. But also, she'll obviously give some damage reduction to characters. As you see, one of the attack team characters has got a 90% attack down, which is going to be Tyrese in this case, which is not great. And obviously, all the other good stuff when it comes to the heals has gone to someone else in the team as well. Now, Mackenzie, of course, has an attached weapon, as we have seen, and we're going to check it out. It is Mackenzie's guarding hunting rifle. It has got 45% HP base, 40% defense, improved taunt when hit. When being attacked, 60% chance to taunt the enemy for the next 2 turns. And in the last slot, it has the defensive version of a 1535, effectively, and it is called HP and Defense Boost. This fighter and all adjacent teammates get 15% max HP and 15% defense. This is going to work off of the base stats. It is not going to be a buff. So basically, if defense buffs come in after this, it will give boosts on their overall stat, which is what this affects. Just like 1535s, they don't act as buffs. They actually act as stat increases from the team building screen. This is going to work exactly the same. This is very, very powerful just with one. The second we have more in a team, on a defense team, it's going to get even crazier. So yeah, very nice weapon, but going to be very, very annoying long term, I think. So that was just a little first look at Gold Mythic Mackenzie, and like I said, she is going to be a premium event fighter. There might be some free-to-play accessibility, kind of like what we saw with Heath. We'll have to wait and see. And even if you will only be able to get 2 copies of this character, you would get the leader skill, plus you would still get a turn 1 signature move, which is actually not too bad. And then obviously you still have the weapon, so on and so forth. You wouldn't have the kind of stats and power in the rest of the kit when it comes to the percentages just being highest and that sort of thing. So that's the one thing that you'd be missing out on. We'll see what the accessibility is like on this character when the premium event drops. More information on that to follow. That is the end of my video, guys. Tell me what you think about Mackenzie in the comments down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.